All right. Looks like we're back. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. Magnificent. Perfect. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How have you been? I hope you had a great weekend of video games. And we are ready to continue today with the analysis, day number 4. Day number 4 of analysis of The Lord of the Rings War in the North, the Lost Swan Song of Snowblind Studios. You know, we did a complete a review of the background, the whole track record of this company of Snowblind Studios. Let me see that everything is working. Yes. Um, Pretty much the creators, as I've said, of Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance, and Dark Alliance 2. We covered all of this in the first part of this walkthrough. We are doing a 100% completion of the game with the extra challenge missions. We also covered how Snowblind Studios was acquired by Warner Bros. Interactive, and they developed Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War. So yes, basically, if you played any of those two games and you're looking for the OG version that basically began it all, we're covering it right now. The Lord of the Rings War in the North. So let's get to it. Another thing before we continue, just as a little recap. Um, I've already fixed the audio for this game. It's because for some weird reason, every time Streamlabs gets updated, my audio it stops working and creates that weird echo that you heard in the first and second parts of the playthrough, but in the third one I fixed it, but the volume was a bit low. So now I've not only fixed the audio but increased the volume a bit, so you'll be able to perfectly hear everything with extreme detail, because it has surround sound, so you should be able to hear it perfectly now that I've adjusted the volume level. What else? I am still, don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Dawn of the Dead in London 2038. But not only that, I have interesting news that I'll comment as we play. But just know that I'm still getting the talismans for Dawn of the Dead. We will hopefully get to play it on Thursday, right? So on Thursday we'll do Dawn of the Dead. Since, you have to pay with one talisman to enter that dungeon every time, we'll have a limited amount of tries to beat it, and once you enter, after 5 minutes, you have to spend another talisman. So yeah, basically, we'll cover Dawn of the Dead on Thursday, but first I am getting at least a decent amount of talismans. I'm getting a decent amount of talismans to ensure that I have at least, I don't.
Makes my blood run chill. This is no place for living men. Let's find my friends. Let's hope we're not too late.
So yeah, I want to ensure I have at least, I don't know, 15 talismans, something like that. Well, Dawn of the Dead. With that said, Dawn of the Dead, London 2038 out of the way, let's get back to The Lord of the Rings War in the North. Last time, we've already analyzed a lot of aspects. Just as a quick recap before we begin, or as we begin, the efficiency of the AI-controlled companions. We discovered a lot of interesting features. For example, you can see that the mage is using an advanced dual wielding talent of the skill tree that I actually didn't unlock when I played the mage, so we can deduce that the way the game has to balance the gameplay and everything and the overall difficulty curve of the game is to unlock talents for the skill tree. There you can see that she's dual wielding, and I cannot dual wield, as you'll see in some minutes when we play as the mage. The way the game has to balance the overall difficulty curve is to allow AI controlled companions to use talents that you actually haven't unlocked.
Signs are clear. Rangers were once here. They left some useful items.
Talents that you haven't unlocked when you play, when you played, or whenever you play with those characters. For example, when I played as the mage, I didn't unlock dual wielding, and she is dual wielding, as you can see. Now, as for the rest, we also covered the. This is just as a recap. We also covered as we advance, because anyways, I think we finished we finished the side quest last time. So it's through here. We also covered not only the balance of the AI controlled companions and their efficiency, we also covered the genre classification of the game. This is a perfect hybrid between hack and slash and RPG. I would say it leans towards hack and slash due to the fact that, as you can see, I can perform light and heavy attacks. And it's a perfect inherited system, the exact DNA of Batman Arkham Asylum, classic game from the 7th generation, that I've cited a lot because this game uses the same combo system, so I would say it leans towards hack and slash, though because of the complex inventory system, which isn't present in Batman Arkham Asylum, and it is present in this game, and because of the general overall track record of Snowblind Studios, which has been developing RPG games, like, as I've said, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, isometric action RPG games with non-point and click mechanics. Just watch a bit of the gameplay of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It was a gameplay style which tried to mimic Diablo, basically, without the point and click features of the classic isometric action RPG games. It's a variation of the isometric action RPG game, a non-point and click variation, and yeah, basically because of this track record, we could say that this game could might as well be classified as an RPG. But in my opinion, personal opinion, because of how predominant and how much of a stample it is, the combo system of Batman Arkham Asylum, and the fact that the gameplay mechanic of combining light and heavy attacks is also such a stample of the hack and slash genre, I would say this one leans much more towards that genre than RPG. Though, to be 100% precise, this game is a hybrid, because it perfectly features or contains elements from both genres, kind of like 50-50, in a perfect balance. Light and heavy attacks, hack and slash mechanic, a complex inventory system and stat system that we've been also reviewing, that we've been also covering last time, RPG mechanic. Here you can see a forge system in which, for example, I think we engraved some items the other day, just like you would do in Diablo 2. I think I had some engraved items already. The bow, I think. Yeah, there you can see. Look at that orange dot down there, which corresponds to the slots row. Well, that one is it's an engraved that one is an engraved stone of these. So the game does feature a modding system for weapons, and we can see that these are all features. Here you can see that I have quests and side quests. Find the third artifact, show the tome to learn the scholar. But last time we did, look at how many completed quests. But these ones are the main quests, right? So no. It includes the This includes the side quests. This one was a side quests. The side quest that we did last time, that we covered the 3 tombs. And watch the previous walkthrough, just in case you want to watch it, in which we cleared 3 tombs. And we also fought some bosses. Not only the tombs, what am I saying? We also fought the Barrow-wights, or wights, or something like that. They were the area bosses. So yeah, basically a perfect hybrid combination between hack and slash and RPG. If I had to personally perfectly classify the game, I would say it leans a bit more towards the hack and slash genre because of what I explained. Uh, you could even call it looter slasher, right? Because of how hybrid the combination of RPG and hack and slash is. And not only that, we also explored as you could see, the skill tree and many more things. There we go. Not only the AI controlled behavior and the overall genre classification of the game, but also of course the combat gameplay mechanics, the inventory system, as you could see, the cohesion of the plot. For example, the game spawns between kind of like it's in the timeline of the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and Return of the King. Nice. Look at how the head. Look how that enemy was beheaded, but they can still attack you even while beheaded. The graphical effects, of course, the game has and had, because we explore different sections. An amazing presentation, the rain, how the raindrops would, you could see them in the kind of like on the clothes of your character. The graphical presentation, it's amazing. As I've said, the cohesion of the plot. For example, Aragorn disappeared in Bree just because he departed with the Fellowship of the Ring. Just like you could see in the first movie. While we are basically the mid shield, find a key for the locked gate. Alright, looks like we found the key, or what? Barrow Downs, unlock the gate. Okay. So yeah, Aragorn disappeared in Bree after we departed. Find the key, we got the key, now we need to open the door. We've already completed all of the side quests in this zone. And then we also have to explore the challenge missions. We'll do it kind of like an end game activity before we proceed to the analysis, to the final analysis. Hey, that has to be the door. Continue the search for Luinal and Killaran. Yeah, we're searching for the Rangers. Friends of Eradan, of our protagonist here. He's not the protagonist, actually. the three of them are kind of like protagonists in equal parts, kind of like evenly distributed, the protagonism. Just like in The Lord of the Rings, though you could say the protagonist is Frodo, but also the Aragorn arc is amazing, and you could argue that he's a co-protagonist as well. The same could be said for Gandalf. So yeah, you get the point. It's just like in The Lord of the Rings. I am surprised at how perfect the lore is in this game. Kind of like the expanded lore of the Lord of the Rings universe. The expanded lore of the Lord of the Rings universe, and also the ambience is pretty well executed. We also covered. Well, we won't be able to perform a headshot now. Let me do the execution there. We also covered the class system, though this is something that I wanted to talk about a bit more right now. So let me tell you that in this game, you can play with any of the three heroes at any given time. But basically they all can perform both melee and ranged attacks like this, as you can see. Though, of course, the mage is much more proficient at performing ranged attacks, and we are much more proficient at performing melee attacks. Of course, they have some distinctions, but there aren't defined classes in this game, so it uses a somehow blurred class system. Not so. The classes are not perfectly defined. I mean, yes, the mage, the ranger, and the dwarf, and the warrior. Sorry, and the warrior. The three classic classes from. No pun intended. The three original classes from Dungeons and Dragons: mage, ranger, and rogue, and warrior from pretty much any RPG ever. In this game, we have them represented, but there aren't huge defined gameplay mechanics that make them extremely unique. You can see that all three of them can perform ranged attacks, all three of them can perform melee attacks, and while there are some subtle differences, I would say the class system here is precisely the opposite of MMORPGs when compared to MMORPGs, which historically MMORPG games have always had extremely defined classes, but not only MMORPGs, classic RPGs. Think about something like Baldur's Gate, and for MMORPGs, World of Warcraft, it's the easiest example. So yes, basically, in classic RPG games, kind of like at the dawn of the classic RPG genre, I covered all the integral history of PC game genres. Hey, we have another Barrow-wight. So there's a bit of boss recycling here because we've already faced two of these guys. As you can see, we can only damage that guy through ranged attacks, so we'll leave it to our mage for a while there, or I think it's attacking. It's you can see, the artificial intelligence, it's pretty good, and I've been surprised by it. You can see that you can also give them some commands, but it's pretty good on its own. So you can see she casted that when that bubble regenerates the group's health, and she casted it when I was being attacked and lost some health. So you can see that the artificial intelligence is pretty well executed. It needed to be pretty well executed, otherwise the game would have been a disaster. So good. And yeah, pretty much. Let's try to kill that necromancer. Right, this will be a bit tougher because we don't have that much room. I remember the previous two whites that we fought. They were in open fields, and here you can see the perfect example of how a topic that I've discussed a lot constantly, how the level design influences the gameplay mechanics of a game. I've endlessly commented about this topic, which is so underrated in game analysis. How the level design influences the gameplay mechanics of a game. It's pretty much one of the most important links between gameplay elements that will actually define if a game is good or not. And here you can see a perfect execution of that. See how we have no room. We have no room because of how narrow this corridor is, to avoid the melee attacks from the summons and the rocks that the necromancer is throwing at us. Here we can see a perfect relationship between the level design and how it influences the gameplay mechanics of the game. See how we have no room to maneuver, and that in turn increases the overall difficulty of the game through a natural and organic level design choice. Something that I've commented a lot in all of my analysis, and now in this last phase. There we go, damn it. And perfect. Magnificent. Hopefully the audio now is much more balanced, so you should be able to listen to my voice while also um, hearing the in-game voices much better. Let me check it for a second to see if you're listening to them correctly. Just 1 second. Just one second. Sorry for the stupid interruption, but I need to see if it's being properly recorded, because whenever Streamlabs updates, I have this stupid problem. Whenever it updates, I have this totally stupid problem. So yeah, basically. Yeah. We have a... No, it seems to be properly recorded. Seems to be properly recorded without any kind of problem, if you ask me. Yeah, the sound seems to be okay. Sound seems to be okay. Yeah. The sound seems to be perfectly okay. Yeah, basically. Yeah. The sound seems to be perfectly okay. Sound seems to be perfectly okay. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, let me check this. Ah, here it is. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. Sorry for that. There we go. Much better. There we go. Yeah. Perfect. Sorry for that. I wanted to ensure that it. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. I wanted to ensure that the sound is not once again uh, being recorded with that disgusting echo. You wouldn't believe how it ruined the first two streams. I mean, it ruined the audio a bit with that disgusting echo. And in the last one, it was fixed, but the audio was a bit low. It was a tad low, but now looks like it's being recorded. At least I see perfect volume levels. So yeah. So as I was saying, loot items here. As I was saying, we explored pretty much. We've already done kind of like we've already explored most of the basic aspects of the game. Uh, we also covered the flaws. The flaws that so far we've encountered are the most blatant flaw and the worst. It's that the usage of potions is unbalanced, just like in Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Basically, that game was completely ruined. Poor game. I always use the same example. Poor game. But it's the one that I remember the most. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Um, in which the balance between the usage of potions and the overall difficulty curve is completely broken, and it completely destroyed the balance of that perfect game, because the game was perfect except for that, and it completely ruined the experience. So yes, basically, the wrong balance between the usage of potions and the overall difficulty curve of the game can be they are dead.
He lives.
Ah,
Can you hear me, Lewin? Awake. No strength can prevail against this sickness. What good are swords in the face of this plague? What in the name of... Eridan? Yes, it's me, my friend. I have been dreaming.
alright, you've been dreaming. He was not dead. Oh. You spoke of a
As you
plague.
awoke, you said something about a plague. What did you mean? I don't know. It was as if I was someone else. I remember a plague and despair.
The Great Plague. Nearly 300 years ago, it devastated the Dunedain of this region. You were sharing the dreams of those for whom this tomb was made.
Well, let those dreams remain with the dead. I want no more of them.
What happened to you?
How did you end up in this burrow? I recall we were making good speed through the downs, eager to return to our friends. But a fog began to rise and it became hard to find our way. We began to hear voices calling to us, as if from far off, or else underground. And then the dead were all around us. We fought them, but then I felt the presence of something else, something stronger, more evil. I saw a shadowy figure seize hold of Kalaran and he fell senseless. Then it came for me. Let was brought living into this tomb, then the same would be true for Kalaran. We need to find him.
Yeah, we arrived here looking for both of you. Hey, I've realized that the voices, the overall dialogue voices in this game, they were recorded pretty low, kind of like originally. It's not my audio, and I have them on max. Just so you know. That's our plan.
That's what we intend to do. Are you strong enough to join us?
Yes, I think I can keep up with you.
Let's go before any more dead things decide to turn up.
Alright. We found one of them, but we are lacking the other one. So as I was saying, the balance between the usage of potions and the overall difficulty curve of a game, it's something paramount, absolutely important for a game because it can completely ruin the whole experience. And sadly, this game, the most blatant flaw that I've encountered is that because you can endlessly purchase potions and spam them. So yeah, you can basically win this game. You can beat this game by spamming potions. I'm a bit afraid of that. That's a critical flaw that the game has. It's not kind of like a minor flaw. It's a critical flaw. As I've said, think about Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. You can beat that game even on the hardest difficulty, even without spending any skill point or anything, just by spamming potions, because they don't have a cooldown, and because you can endlessly get them. So yes, basically the wrong balance between the usage of potions and the overall difficulty curve of the game is something dangerous for game development. As I've said, I've analyzed thousands of games, and I would say that's one of the biggest flaws in combat RPG mechanics. The potions need to have a cooldown of 9 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that, or make them scars. That's the other option. That's the other option to compensate those gameplay mechanics. Yeah, you either assign them a 9-10 second cooldown to the usage of potions, or to the overall usage of potions, or you simply make them scars. Some games go for that second option. That's a much more old school option, making potions scars, because it's basically kind of like skipping or ignoring, damn it. Skipping or ignoring the gameplay mechanics of more looter, slasher, isometric action RPG oriented RPGs. Like Diablo 2, for example, like making the potions scars. So yeah, basically you either add a cooldown, or I don't know, make them scars, or well, in the case of Diablo 2, it's so perfectly balanced that the damage dealt by the enemies, which is the hardest out of the three options that I'm mentioning, perfectly balancing the damage of the enemies with the free usage of potions. In Diablo 2, I think there's no yeah, if I remember correctly, yes, there's no cooldown to potion usage. They are also not scarce at all. You can have a huge stack of potions, but the damage of the hordes of demons is so great. It's so big that enemies are still a threat even if you spam potions. Or what's left of him. Barrow-wight Lord. Alright, it's the final boss of this area. Let's just stop the analysis for some minutes and focus on this. Because...
He's a friend. I cannot.
let's see. Do I have to aim for him or this thing? I cannot deal damage to that spirit. What is that thing doing? Am I dealing that? There we go. Damn it, sorry, you'll have to kill what's left of your friend. Damn it. Yeah, I forgot that. Blocking in this game. Forgot that blocking in this game doesn't protect you completely. Let me guess, he's back there. Okay. This is a great... Alright, you have to use the columns. Yeah, there, here. Like this. So we can see some RPG, some MMORPG gameplay mechanics. This is a perfect... This is our chance to analyze the... Magnificent, we completed a side quest. See why you should always explore the whole place in this game? Because it's easy to miss secrets. It's the perfect chance to analyze boss gameplay mechanics. This is the second boss of the game. It's a chapter boss, let's say, because last time Warthog was the other chapter boss. There we go. Looks like that thing is going to send the ranger once again. Sorry that I'm not showing it. There we go. I wanted to loot the whole place because then a cinematic is probably gonna trigger. Damn it. Ah, you learned a new trick. So he has some kind of area of effect attack. Magnificent. I managed to perform a full combo. And now the other attack. Let's see. Hey, is it me or the columns are... They are getting destroyed? Alright. Now it will raise the undead and... Perfect. So yeah, as you can see, through spamming potions, it's easy to beat this game, which is a critical flaw. Other flaws that I didn't mention, I think today. Yeah, I didn't mention them some minutes ago. But yeah, that one is the most critical flaw. Other flaws, for example... Ah, right. The area of effect attack. Is where I place? Hey, I was out of that range. Sober. Perfect. Magnificent. Speak with Luin. Not gonna happen until I loot all of that.
It's a hard thing to see a good friend slain. Harder still to see his remains desecrated in this manner. But at least now he is at rest. But you, how are you bearing up?
First Black Riders, now Barrow-wights. This is more than men should have to contend with. But where there is life, there is hope. Thanks for your concern, but I will be all right. I owe it to those who have fallen to go on as best I may.
We've gathered many rich treasures from this tomb. You certainly deserve a share.
Thanks, but it would only serve to remind me of all of this. You keep what you have won.
You've been through a terrible ordeal. Perhaps you should come with us to Rivendell. Or we could take you to Bree. It's not far away.
No, I feel my strength returning. I'll soon be myself again. And then I will bear Kilaran's body away from these tainted tombs. He should be buried with the rest of his brothers who fell at Sarn Ford.
True.
That would be fitting. I hope that he will rest in peace. Farewell, Lewin.
Alright. Loot. I think I've looted everything. No, wait. There's something there. But we didn't loot. Here? No, yeah, we looted everything. Oh. All of the looting I would have done now. You have a... We'll save it. Rest in peace. Ranger of Dunedain Ranger. And here we go. We'll swap characters. Right? Because this is another thing that we need to... The number of health potions you have it shown next to... Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. The number of health potions, precisely. We'll play with the mage. Shall we? I know because... No, but we played with her when we were with the elves. So we'll play with Farin instead. Right. Yeah. Let's play with Farin. Remember, this is meant to be our tank. Hey! Look where we are! Look where we are, guys. I bet you all recognize this place. From the first movie, from Fellowship of the Ring.
Ah, Master Elrond. Allow me to present to you Farin of Erebor, a very valiant dwarf.
Indeed. It is an honor to welcome one so brave to my home, and your companions as well.
I am grateful for what you did at Fornost. If Agandaur's forces had joined in the hunt, there is little chance that I and my charges would have made it here to safety.
Right, now we speak with Thorin. Dwarves are welcome here?
I'll admit I'm surprised a dwarf can find so warm a welcome in the hall of an elf lord.
Conflicts there have been between our folk in the past, but you are one of the trusty folk of Durin's line. More often than not, your people and mine have been allies and friends.
What happened after
Happy
Bree?
to have been of service. Can you tell me what happened to you after we parted company?
I found the hobbit Frodo Baggins and his companions and led them through the wilderness, hoping to throw the Nazgul off our trail. All the same, 5 of them attacked our camp at Weathertop, and Frodo was badly wounded. After that, the enemy pursued us almost to the hidden pathways of Rivendell itself. We never would have saved Frodo, except that we had the help of Elrond and his people.
We already know the answer of this from the movie, so...
I still can't make out why the enemy would send his most terrible servants all the way from Mordor just to hunt for a hobbit.
I think it is time we told our newfound friends what they've gotten themselves into.
Gandalf, who are you? No, we all know Gandalf. Let's go for the role-playing option here.
Gandalf! I should have known you would be involved with this somehow.
Indeed. Wherever there is trouble and strife, and the enemy is stirring, there you will find Gandalf the Grey.
Are you going to explain all that has happened, Gandalf? I'm eager to learn why the enemy sent the Nazgul into the Shire.
You have more than earned such an explanation. Tell me, what do you know of Isildur's Bane?
Isildur's Bane. Nothing.
I know nothing of this. What is Isildur's Bane?
Isildur's Bane is the Ring of Power, forged by the Dark Lord Sauron long ago.
Into this ring, Sauron bound the greater part of his power, but it has been lost for many hundreds of years.
Why did Sauron make the ring?
It was part of a grand deception. Sauron taught the elves the art of making rings of power, but secretly he planned to make one master ring through which he could control all the lesser rings and those who wore them.
Yeah. As you can see, that lore is pretty accurate.
Learning at the hands of the Dark Lord sounds pretty foolish to me. Why would your folk ever do such a thing?
At that time, Sauron was still able to assume what form he wished. He came for the elves in a fair guise, and played on their greatest desire, to preserve and protect what they loved in Middle-earth.
Eager for knowledge, they learned from him and made many rings. The greatest of these were Narya, Nenya, and Vilya, the 3 rings of the elves. When Sauron forged the one ring, the elves were instantly aware of his betrayal.
The Dark Lord made war on the elves and seized the lesser rings. These he gave freely to dwarves and men, those same men who became the Nazgul. To Sauron's dismay, the dwarves proved less easy to dominate. By force, he took back 3 of these dwarven rings. The rest were consumed by dragons and destroyed.
The elves were very hard-pressed, and Sauron's dominion spread over the greater part of Middle-earth.
What saved the elves from final defeat?
The coming of my ancestors. The Dunedain, led by Elendil the Tall, a lord of lost Númenor, came to Middle-earth seeking new lands in which to dwell. They were the sworn enemies of Sauron and staunch allies of the Elven king, Gil-galad.
An alliance was formed between elves and men, and together they drove back the armies of Sauron.
In the end, Gil-galad and Elendil threw down Sauron, at the cost of their own lives.
Wow, the Lord of the Rings lore in this game is pretty deep, as I've said.
What happened to the ring after Sauron's defeat?
It was claimed by Isildur, Elendil's heir. It was he who cut the ring from the Dark Lord's hand with a hilt shard of his father's sword Narsil, broken in the battle.
I counseled him in vain to cast the ring into the fires of Mount Doom, near at hand, but he would not heed me.
It's kind of like the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, what they're telling us, if I'm not mistaken.
You did? But wasn't the War of the Last Alliance a long age ago?
Yeah, they are immortal.
So it was indeed, but my memory stretches back even to the elder days. In the War of the Last Alliance, I served Gil-galad, and I witnessed the overthrow of Sauron, and Isildur's claiming of the ring firsthand.
Yeah, no, not immortal, but supposedly the elves kind of like live thousands of years, could it be, if I'm not mistaken, in the Lord of the Rings universe. Basically. Because I remember in the third movie, I just watched the movies, Aragorn's wife, in the third movie, I remember she kind of like had to become mortal to marry him. I remember when they recovered Gondor. Yeah. Why didn't he listen?
Why didn't Isildur wish it destroyed? It was made by the enemy. He must have known it would only lead to trouble.
The ring has a power over the minds of all who come into contact with it, filling them with a desire to claim it as their own. This temptation is all the greater for those who already possess a measure of their own power. Isildur was a mighty lord, and the lure of the ring was more than he could resist.
He would not suffer the ring to be destroyed, thinking perhaps that he could use its power for the good of Middle-earth. Yet it is a work of the enemy, and in the end it corrupts all who possess it.
So Isildur was corrupted by the power of the ring.
He would have been, but it happened that he was slain in an ambush while traveling with only a few retainers.
Ah.
This, the malignant power of the ring was at work.
Yes, the ring betrayed him to his death and was lost, passing out of all knowledge for many long years.
But it still exists.
And I would wager it has turned up again.
Quite right. After lying lost and nearly forgotten for centuries, Sauron's ring has once again been found.
Do you mean to say the halfling Aragorn rescued has come into possession of the Dark Lord's ring?
Aye, that would explain those accursed Black Riders. But what is to become of the ring now?
There is no safe resting place for the ring, not even here in Imladris. It is a danger to all who come near to it. There is only one course left to us. The ring must be destroyed.
To do so, the ring will need to be cast into the same fires from which it was forged. Those of Mount Doom, in the land of Mordor. The hobbit, Frodo Baggins, has agreed to take it there.
Surely you don't intend to send him there alone?
No, certainly not. A fellowship will be formed. A fellowship of 9. 9 walkers set against Sauron's 9 Black Riders. Among this fellowship will be representatives of all the free peoples of the world. Elves, dwarves, and men. Aragorn and I will both be going.
We've proven we can handle a fight. Let us join this fellowship of yours.
The hope of the Company of the Ring lies in speed and secrecy, not in strength of arms. Their number must be few. Even were we to send 1,000 such warriors on this journey, it would do little more than arouse the wrath of the Dark Lord.
We are at your command. What is it you would have us do?
The Nazgul and Agandaur are dire threats. We must learn all we can of their movements before the Fellowship is to depart. Scouts will be sent out in every direction to scour the lands around Rivendell. Your aid in this would be of great service to our cause.
Very well. Where should we start?
Agandaur is our chief concern. Although the Nazgul are powerful foes, their mission here in the north is abundantly clear. We can only guess what Agandaur may be planning, or where he went after he escaped from you.
I suspect he may be planning to move against us here. Sauron's hatred of the elves is very great, and he does not forget the hand we played in his defeat during the War of the Last Alliance.
If it is strength he wants, he may well find it among the Etenmoors.
You know that region better than I. What can you tell me of the Etenmoors?
The Etenmoors are a spur of the Misty Mountains, lying almost directly north of Rivendell. It is a wild region of very rugged terrain, home to many trolls and giants.
I myself was in the Etenmoors but days ago. I saw no sign of Agandaur's presence, but neither did I encounter trolls. That fact alone is troubling. It could be that they are gathering in force, somewhere among the moors.
If that's so, we don't want them taking us by surprise. We'll make our way to the Etenmoors and see what we can find out.
From what I have heard of you, from Aragorn and Elrond's sons, I expected no less. Still, you have had a long road and hard fighting to get this far. Take what time you need to rest and recover before you set out. The Etenmoors are a dangerous place for the unprepared.
The hospitality of my house is yours for as long as you wish.
Hey, look at that. We've got... Alright, first of all, as you can see, now we are using a shield and a one-handed sword. That's the configuration we applied to Farron, to the dwarf, in the second part of my walkthrough. Right, so here you can see that even if you change, damn it, this is another mistake that I was commenting, the mistakes, the flaws of this game. See that the shadows are pixelated. I've noticed this several times. I've noticed it several times, not only here but in several places. Another flaw, as I've said, the most critical one. Hey, I need to show. Maybe if I show him the tome, we can complete that side quest. Wait.
Greetings to you, Farin. Many times in the past have I welcomed your kin to my home. The bond between our kindred has at times been shaken, yet it has never been broken. Always before, I have placed my trust in Durin's folk, and never have they betrayed it. You will always be welcome here in Imladris, my friend. Yet I am certain you did not come here merely to exchange pleasantries. That is not the dwarven way. Do you have questions for me?
Yeah, the book.
I found this book hidden away in the ruins of Fornost. It looks to be quite old.
This seems to be a work by the men of Arthedain. It may well have been written before the destruction of Fornost.
Tell me about this realm of Arthedain.
Arthedain was the last fragment of the great northern kingdom of Arnor. The heirs of Isildur ruled as kings of Arthedain until it too was destroyed by the enemy.
But according to the rangers at the Sarn Ford, the line of their kings did not end.
It is true Isildur's line has remained unbroken, but without a kingdom to rule, they have not claimed the title of king and have been known simply as chieftains of the Dunedain. It is our friend Aragorn who currently bears that title, although he will be the last to do so. Either he will become a king, or Isildur's line will come to an end with him.
So you think this book is a record from those days? You could be right, for we found it in a chamber that had been long sealed. Can you make out any of the writing?
Indeed. It seems to be a personal journal. And here is a name inscribed. M-A-L. Why, this appears to be a work of Malbeth, the seer of Arthedain.
Malbeth? Never heard of him.
Many of the Dunedain race are gifted with foresight, but none more than Malbeth. He predicted the final destruction of the kingdom of Arthedain, which befell exactly as he had foretold. I will examine this work carefully. Who knows what other visions are here recorded? It may be that we will find something of value to us in this time of trouble. You did well in bringing this to me. Take this in way of thanks.
Is there anything more you can tell me about this mission to the Ettenmoors?
Only that the Ettenmoors are a dangerous place at the best of times. The danger will be that much greater if the orcs and trolls are being organized by an outside force. You and your friends will need to have your wits about you.
If we do find the enemy mustering there, what should we do about it?
You will have to determine your best course of action. But when dealing with the foul folk, it is always wise to eliminate any strong leader you may find. For without someone who can enforce discipline, they will often fall to fighting amongst themselves. If the enemy is mustering in the Ettenmoors, try to recover any clues that may help us determine who is behind it and where they may be found.
It shall be as you say. Farewell, Master Elrond.
Perfect. Choice reward from Elrond. Alright, we get... First of all, we need to spend a lot of stat points and everything because I haven't played with this guy in a while. So we are tanks, and this is something that I've been I wanted to analyze about this game. I don't know if the stat points that I'm spending right now will actually transition to the AI controlled version of this character when I play in a scenario with a different character. I want to believe that's the case, but I don't have any visual evidence that it's actually happening. But well. Right. This will be a full tank. For the time being, I think it's somehow respecting the talents I am upgrading, because I've seen Farin, the AA controlled Farin, when I'm playing as Eradan, perform a lot of war cries. In fact, it's the only ability I've seen I've seen the AI use, the AI controlled Farin use. Because of the fact that I've spent talents. I wonder if it's because of the fact that I've spent talents exclusively on this ability. Warcry now shifts enemy focus to the dwarf, increases nearby enemies, damages nearby enemies, and increases the damage they take. Alright, so we'll go full Warcry, so whenever our AA controlled firing executes a Warcry, it'll probably I hope it will receive the talents, though the skill tree was completely different in the case of Andriel, of the mage, when you could see that she could dual wield. During Warcry, melee damage absorbed by the champion is reflected back to the enemy, so we'll go full Warcry. Reduces the cooldowns of your active skills. We'll leave that one for last. Here, this one. So it's a pure tank build. Magnificent. So it's a pure tank build. Which was the combination? RT and B. Perfect. The Eden Moors. Side quest, work of Westerness. Alright. In terms of quests, completed quests. Alright. Show the artifacts to Master Smith. Okay, we have to find the Master Smith. We completed that. And the... Well, look, she's not dual wielding now. Well, we need to upgrade our gear, because this guy... 52... 43, but with a slot. 49... No, there's a huge difference here. So we'll apply this one. Apply this. Okay. And 202 value, 89 armor. Magnificent. I think it's the best one. This one, 85, blah 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 blah. This one has a slot, but it's way too low. No. This one. Part of said Eredmithrin. Eredmithrin. I wonder if there's an extra combo for an extra bonus, an extra stat bonus for going with a full set of these. Oh well. The blade and the shield. Warlord, no, this is a two-handed sword. A mace. Pitched barrow guards mallet. Magnificent. La 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 la. It has a slot. It has 45, 69. Pretty good stats. Well, this one increases the armor even more, but it's way too low, so no, we won't even deal any damage. Remember, we are meant to be tanks here. 82? No. Yeah, you get 82 armor. 154. I think that one is the biggest one. It's the highest stat shield. 141. Chance of health orb 7%. I don't know what that may be. 107, 107, 141. We have a clear winner. A Region Ward. Okay. Damn it. Leggings, Bright Flame, Ered Mithril. Alright, we have a full set. I think our first full set ever, Ered Mithril. I think this is our first set ever. Though this one is better. 29. I know, but this one gives you 2 stamina. This one gives you 2 power. Well, we have a full set of Mithril. Alright, there we go. We won't do any ranged attacks. Alright, we've got our mace, we've got our shield, we've got everything. I wonder if the AI controlled... As you can see, it's not respecting the gear I assigned to Eradan, because there you can see that now he has some kind of axe and a longsword, which aren't the ones that I was using. And there you can see that that Andriel is not dual wielding. Don't ask me why. So the other AI controlled characters apparently are perfect presentation, as you can see here, except for the pixelated shadows. That's the other flaw that they did with this game. And yeah, I was mentioning other flaws. So far, I think the biggest one, as I've said, is the lack of balance between the usage of potions. There's the legendary blade from that we see in Return of the King. The blade of Isildur that was kind of like broken, like there.
Ah, Farin, I am glad you are here. I feel I must apologize to you. When I was told a dwarf had appeared on the borders of the Shire asking to join the Dunedain in their watch, I was suspicious. I instructed Halbarad to keep a careful eye upon you, fearing you were a spy. Clearly he grew to trust you, and after all you have done, I have as well. I am sorry to have doubted you, my friend.
I'd like to know more about those chosen to be part of your fellowship.
Who is it that interests you?
Oh, we have plenty of dialogue choices here, so get ready. We are doing a 100% completion of the game, so let's...
At least you will have a dwarf along with you, and one of the best too. You won't find a better companion than Gimli, son of Glóin.
I have only just met Gimli, but I hope he will prove to be much like you, stout-hearted and reliable, and a terror to his enemies in battle.
Tell me about the wood elf, Legolas.
It is fitting that we have a representative of the Eldar, the elves, along with us on this venture. They have been foes of Sauron since before the ancestors of the Dunedain first returned to the shores of Middle-earth. Legolas is keen of eye and ear, and he is unmatched as a bowman. His arrows seldom miss their mark.
What about this man of Gondor, this Boromir?
Boromir is the son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. I had never met him before Elrond's council, but long years ago, under another name, I served his grandfather Ecthelion. The men of Gondor are valiant and strong, and by all accounts Boromir is foremost among them in courage and skill at arms. I suspect we will have need of his sword before our quest is through.
What about these other hobbits? Is it wise to send so many of the little folk on this quest?
We are asking much of Frodo. Until recently, he had never set foot outside the confines of the Shire. It will be a comfort for him to have the familiar companionship of his friends and kin in the face of so much that will be new and frightening. I have traveled with these hobbits, and they proved far more courageous and hardy than many would suspect.
Interesting. He's kind of like giving general answers, but it's a good background on the Lord of the Rings characters.
What about Gandalf? What can you tell me of him?
To know all there is to know of Gandalf would require a lifetime study. There is much about him that remains a mystery, even to me. Yet he is a relentless foe of Sauron, and without his vigilance, the ring would already be in the hands of the enemy. His wisdom and leadership will be of great value to the Fellowship.
Yeah, it's kind of like a general description. They could have gone for something a bit more in-depth. Oh well. It's from the subjective point of view of Aragorn, so we can assume this character also doesn't know everything about the others.
So, you go now to claim the throne of Gondor.
Above all, I go to help Frodo fulfill his quest. For unless the ring is destroyed, Gondor will soon fall, king or no king.
I
Agandor.
take it you'd never heard of Agandaur before we spoke of him.
I had never heard nor dealt with Agandaur specifically, but I know his kind. Years ago, I served in disguise in the armies of Gondor, where I contended with the corsairs of Umbar, who were often led by those akin to Agandaur. These black Númenóreans are a corrupt and wicked race. They worship Sauron as a god and seek the utter destruction of all who oppose him.
Word is you've traveled a great deal. Is there anything you can tell me of the Ettenmoors?
Only that it is a dangerous and unforgiving place. My own grandfather Alador was slain by trolls in the Ettenmoors.
Oh.
It is important we learn if the enemy is active in the moors, but we do not send you there lightly. Be on your guard at all times while you venture there.
Good luck to you.
Magnificent. Yeah. I'm surprised at how natural the facial expressions and the way characters interact with each other in this game is
Farin. It is
extremely
good of you to seek
natural.
me out. You're a stout dwarf, like all of Durin's folk, and your courageous deeds have shown your worth.
I came all the way from the Lonely Mountain to help guard the Shire. Should I abandon what I set out to do?
You fulfilled your oath and protected the Shire when you were needed there, my good dwarf. Now you're needed more urgently elsewhere. With the flight of the ring in this direction, the enemy is looking this way and has forgotten the Shire for now. For now. But eventually his eye will turn once again toward the Shire, as humble as it is. Hobbits as miserable slaves would please him far more than hobbits happy and free. And there is such a thing as malice and revenge. Sauron will leave the final devastation of the Shire to his servant Agandaur. And that is yet another reason why you must find him and put an end to his designs. In opposing Agandaur, you are defending the Shire.
What's Agandaur after? There are no mighty kingdoms to be found on this side of the Misty Mountains. What's Sauron afraid of here?
Sauron seeks dominion over all of Middle-earth. His desire is to order all things as he sees fit. Even were these lands empty from here to the sea, still he would seek to control them. There is power in Rivendell that could stand against him when all others fall, for a time. And this is something Sauron cannot allow.
We had one of the great eagles lend us a hand, Claw, at Fornost. Right handy he was too. I was thinking he might help us get rid of the ring.
I don't fault you for thinking along those lines. Why not beg a ride from an eagle, fly far out to the west, and drop the ring into the deepest part of the sea? Such ideas were debated at Elrond's council. But there are many things in the deep waters, and seas and lands may change. We cannot think of our time alone. We must destroy this thing forever.
This orc lover, Agandaur, do you know anything about him?
Well, I know nothing of Agandaur himself. I have seen his kind at other times in distant lands. He is likely a black Númenórean, and a master of dark sorceries.
No, I wanted the other question that appeared there. We attack the north.
What's
Sauron seeks... There is...
When we
No.
first spoke, you...
It is a rough and empty land, home to many trolls. I passed through with great haste, for I needed to reach Rivendell as quickly as I could.
You said there was no sign of trolls.
I saw neither trolls nor fresh signs of them, and that disturbs me more than encountering one. I doubt they've all packed up and left. Mindless brute creatures they may be.
Yeah,
They
that's
can
true.
be used and driven to even greater wickedness.
The trolls
Do
are
you think
master.
he's mustering the trolls for an attack?
That is my fear. I would gladly be proven wrong, but my heart misgives me that somewhere in the Ettenmoors you will find them gathering and being prepared for war. We must know. Such a force could be sent against Rivendell, perhaps in hopes of capturing the ring.
We'll find out.
I'll get my friends and we'll head for the moors, if there's something to find. We'll find it.
To Gandalf.
What would you ask of me now, Farin?
No, the other one, the eagles.
We had one of the great...
I don't fault you for... Such ideas were debated at Elrond's
Fly the ring to Mount Doom.
A hobbit wouldn't be a burden to an eagle. Send him straight to Mount Doom and problem solved.
Indeed. So simple as that. You think so mighty a creature as one of the great eagles could simply waft into Mordor and escape the eye that never sleeps? No. Not all the eagles of the Misty Mountains could stand against Sauron and the full power of his ringwraiths. It would be folly. Nor, for that matter, do the great eagles take orders from us.
Yeah, I would suppose if they had gone for sending all of the eagles to Mount Doom, kind of like carrying the ring, the Nazguls would have intercepted them and killed them. He has a point.
Yes, sorry. I was just thinking about poor Frodo is all, and wishing there were some way he could be spared a trip into the very heart of the enemy's Black Realm.
You have a good heart, and I wish it could be so. We debated many such notions. I had even given thought to dragons. There was a time when dragon fire could destroy a ring of power. But even if the mightiest of the dragons of old, and Calagon the Black, were alive today, his fire would not be enough to consume the One Ring, Sauron's ring. No, there is no other way. Frodo must go to Mount Doom. And you have a foe of your own you must contend with, Agandaur. And there is no telling what allies and powers he is gathering.
Alright.
I have things that need doing. Goodbye, Gandalf.
Damn, I also noticed that the birds, kind of like the beards they have, kind of like are extremely... This is the Master Smith. This is one of the side quests. The beards are incredibly well done. The textures and the details, the graphical presentation of this game, just like I was talking some minutes ago about the flaws, the textures are
Even in strange surroundings, you can trust a dwarf to find his way to a forge.
extremely refined.
Welcome in my smithy, Farin of Erebor.
I found these items.
I've found a few things on my travels that you might be interested in. Take a look.
Ah, these are work of Westernese, the lost land of Numenor. The men who forged these items were skilled indeed. You have the makings of a unique weapon here. Although these components were never part of a single work, I believe you have assembled everything I would need to make it so. The finished weapon would undoubtedly carry some elven qualities.
What do you mean by that?
Only that with a work such as this, the finished product is liable to reflect the nature of the smith who assembles it. If, for example, a dwarven smith were to complete this weapon, it might possess quite different qualities from the weapon I would create.
Alright, so you can create the weapon. Okay.
It seems fitting that a dwarven smith should do this work for me.
As you wish. I will help you should you change your mind.
Alright, so you have to
I should
choose.
be going.
You have to choose between human, dwarf, or elven smith. I'll choose human. Alright. By the way, the helmet does have a pretty good reflection for 2011. And also the mace, everything composed of metal. Hey, so this could be the best representation of Rivendell I've ever seen. God, I mean, the water is pretty well done. God damn it. I'll never be able to I mean, look at that water. This game is from 2011. I'll never be able to understand how this game didn't sell more. Legolas.
You don't look like any elf of Rivendell. I'd wager you are one of the wood elves of Mirkwood.
You are correct. I am Legolas, son of Thranduil, king of the Woodland Realm. And I believe you are a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain.
That's right. I'm Farin of Erebor. Strange meeting a wood elf here, when I so seldom see them at home.
It is true. The distance between our two realms is not great. Yet it seems we seldom have dealings with your folk.
I've been through Mirkwood, It baffles me that you wood elves chose to live in such a place.
Mirkwood is the greatest woodland in all of Middle-earth. It was called Greenwood the Great, before the shadow of Sauron fell over it. In ages past, it was a place of great beauty, but now it is filled with darkness and dread, save only in the north where my father's realm is maintained.
What brought you on such a long and perilous journey?
Unpleasant business. My father sent me to report the escape of Gollum, a creature Aragorn had entrusted to our care.
What can you tell me about this Gollum?
A pathetic creature who long held the Ring of Power. The evil of the ring has left him twisted and tormented. His only thought is to recover what was taken from him.
How did Gollum manage to escape? I understood you wood elves were pretty good at holding prisoners, but this one got away?
Not from a lack of watchfulness, but perhaps from too much kindness. We occasionally allowed Gollum to go about the wood under close guard. But on one of these ventures, the guards were attacked by orcs from Dol Guldur. In the confusion, Gollum escaped. We followed his tracks southward for many leagues, until it drew near to Dol Guldur. There, it became too dangerous to pursue him any further.
Dol Guldur, a name of dread to my folk. What do you know of it?
A stronghold of the enemy in the south of Mirkwood. It was once the dwelling of the Dark Lord, until he was driven out in the year of the Dragon's Fall. But it has once again become a place of great evil. All the darkness that besets Mirkwood has its source in Dol Guldur.
So, will you be on your way back to Mirkwood soon?
No. I have been chosen to represent Elvenkind among the Company of the Ring. I will be accompanying the halfling, Frodo Baggins, on his journey south.
Why you?
It seems a little strange that, with a house full of his own people to consider, Elrond chose you, a wood elf, to represent the elven folk in the Fellowship.
I asked for the privilege, and Elrond did not refuse me. I feel he may have been relieved not to lose any of his household to this quest. He will have need of all his strength, should the enemy move against Imladris.
Why'd you volunteer?
Partially to make amends for the loss of Gollum.
Ah.
Because this will be the final chapter in our long struggle against the darkness. And I wish to have a hand in our final victory. Or at least, to stand in the forefront of our last act of defiance.
Good luck to you, Legolas.
I didn't know that. That actually Gollum was under the watch of Legolas's kind, of his kind. Hey, look at the leaves. Have you noticed? See how they disappear there. Pretty well done effect. Yeah, the graphical presentation of this game is amazing. That's why it's here. You can see that the shadows. Yeah, they're still pixelated. It's so bad that the shadows are pixelated when the rest of the graphical presentation of the game is so perfectly executed. Whoa.
Hello! Always happy to meet a dwarf, and one from the Lonely Mountain, if I'm not mistaken.
I am Faran of Erebor, and we've met before, Bilbo Baggins.
Have we now? Oh, I'm afraid I don't recall. You'll have to forgive me. I've grown somewhat forgetful lately.
We met upon your last visit to Erebor. I guess that was near 20 years ago now. And before that, I had the honor of sharing the field with you at the Battle of Five Armies. That was my first real taste of battle. I was hardly more than a lad at the time, but it was a glorious day.
Oh, yes, the Battle of the Five Armies. A nasty business, that. Personally, I'm glad those days are behind us. But then again, it seems as if they may not be. Everything seems to be pointing to some dark times ahead. Speaking of which, I'm told that you and your friends did a great deal to help my Frodo and the Dunedain reach Rivendell safely. You'll have to tell me all about it one of these days so I can write it down properly.
See how accurate the lore of this game is. See how much time the developers of Snowblind Studios must have spent investigating the lore of the Lord of the Rings, because not only it's extremely accurate, but it also kind of like covers a lot of sections from, let's say, the expanded universe. Let's say those details that we never got to see in the movies. Remember this? They just mentioned. I didn't remember this back when I played the game back in 2010. This game was released back in 2011. I didn't play it in 2010. I played it in 2012. Sorry, 2011. The game was released in 2011. The movie of the Battle of the Five Armies was released much later, if I remember correctly. I think it was after 2014. Of that I'm sure of, because I remember The Hobbit was 2014 or something like that, and that one was the last movie of that second trilogy on in theaters. So they had to know forcefully, the developers over at Snowblind Studios, they had to forcefully know about the lore of the Lord of the Rings from the books, not from the movies. So they must have taken the time to investigate that lore to create this dialogue line, because they are mentioning the Battle of the Five Armies before the release of the movie. So there we have evidence that the developers took the time, see how this subtle detail influences the world building of the game. The developers took the time and put all of the effort to polish the expanded universe and the dialogues, which I must also highlight, they feel extremely natural. The reactions of the characters, not only the facial expressions, what they say, they act accordingly to their personalities. It's a cohesively developed universe, the one created in this game. Let's continue, because then we have to get to the next level. Tell me about Frodo.
This Frodo, he is your heir, but I had not heard that you had a son.
Oh, no, he's not my son. Actually, he's my first cousin once removed. And also my second cousin once removed. Well, it's complicated, but we share a great-grandfather. The poor lad was orphaned at an early age, and so I adopted him. Made him my heir, all nice and legal, while simultaneously dashing the greedy hopes of my odious relations, the Sackville Baggins. He's a good lad, Frodo. I only wish he hadn't inherited my troubles along with my estate. I hope that Gandalf and the Dunedain will keep him safe in the days ahead.
The Dunedain? Who do you mean?
Why, Aragorn, of course. From the Elvish, Dun-Adan, man of the West. Númenorian. Around here, Aragorn is often known simply as the Dunedain. A remarkable man, Aragorn, and a good friend. I almost wish that I could accompany him on his grand quest, but I'm far too old for adventures now. I only hope I will be spared long enough to write it all down.
Can you tell me how Frodo came to hold the Ring of Power?
Well, yes, that was through me, I'm afraid. I found the ring by happenstance while lost beneath the roots of the Misty Mountains. I won it. That is to say, I took it from the creature Gollum. Of course, I did not know the full story of the ring until only a few days ago. I thought it was merely a magical bauble with the power to make the wearer invisible. I only used it to avoid unwelcome visitors. Imagine that old ring of mine causing such a fuss. I would gladly take charge of it again if that would help. Oh, yes. Gladly. Yes. You know, I think it would be best if we discussed something else.
Now you call Rivendell your home.
Well, the Shire will always be my home, I suppose. But this is the perfect place for so many things that I'm more than content to remain here. My days are mostly filled with my writing now.
We had more options. Remember, we are doing a 100% completion of the game, so we'll explore all dialogue choices. Anyways, if I remember correctly from playing this game 10 years ago, This is basically the last huge base of operations. So after this, it will be a long trip to the north, and it will be all fighting. So we might as well explore the dialogue choices that the developers put the time and effort to put into the game, and also investigate the accurate lore of the Lord of the Rings. Then we'll continue with the analysis of the combat gameplay mechanics.
What is it you write?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. History, my past adventures, family trees. I've even begun a book of translations from the Elvish, although lately I've been working on poetry mostly. Say, maybe you could help me with that. I'm writing
A side quest.
Aragorn, and I'm a bit stuck on a line or two.
Hey, we've got a side quest from him. Yeah, I didn't complete the side quests back in 10 years ago, so we have to get all of the side quests since we're doing a 100% completion. Let's hear it. Let's see.
Well then, let me hear what you have.
Very well, very well. The verse that's giving me trouble runs like this. The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled.
The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled. To challenge the Lord of the Rings.
Hey now, that's not bad. No, maybe I can work with that. You missed your calling, my friend. Perhaps you should put down your weapons and take up a pen.
The enemy won't be stopped by poetry, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid you're right, but since these old hands are not much use with the sword, I'll just keep on with the pen. Though I'll need some help. Perhaps you could show this to the Lady Arwen. She has her people's gift with words, and this touches her deeply after all.
Arwen. And who is that?
Why, she's Elrond's daughter, of course, and Aragorn's beloved as well. Although you didn't hear that from me, she's a sweet lady, and I'm sure she'd be willing to give me a hand with this.
All of these dialogue options basically lead to the same. I'll take it to her.
I'll take it to her.
Ah, thanks very much.
I'll be sure to do that.
Yeah, there we go. Well, we got a side quest. An unusual side quest. I honestly don't remember anything. Is that Arwen? No, Elor. I don't remember this character from the movies. Glowing. Hey, isn't that kind of like... Well, here we have Frodo. No, but wait, that character, I don't remember it in the movies. Elor.
Welcome, dwarf of the Lonely Mountain. Welcome to Imladris. Are you in need of anything to help you in your travels? I have many things in my keeping that might serve you well.
Hey, right, that's why. It's kind of like the trader of this base. Let's see what the developers came up with to justify the existence of this character who isn't in the movies.
My thanks for the welcome, lady. Might I ask your name?
No, indeed. I am Alare, one of Master Elrond's stewards. I help to manage the needs of his household, including arms and armor. I suspect you might have need of such things.
What sort of folk dwell here in Rivendell?
Elves, for the most part. My people have dwelt in Imladris for a very long time indeed. But there are other folk to be found here as well. Elrond welcomes all people of goodwill. The Dunedain come often, your own folk come occasionally. We are even home to one special hobbit.
Who is this hobbit you speak of?
Why, it is none other than Bilbo the Magnificent, greatest of the Shire folk. Your folk know him well as the hobbit who overthrew the dragon Smaug and helped reclaim your lost realm of Erebor. Although these days he is more interested in poetry than adventure. And food and drink, of course. Keeping a hobbit well fed is enough to keep several stewards busy.
All right, there you can see that the whole trilogy of books was known by the developers. They also mentioned the smoke before the movie was released.
This is such a peaceful place. It must take a fair number of warriors to keep it so.
This is a place of learning and peace, not a fortress or camp of war. But there are those here who wield great power, especially the Lord Elrond. Yet even he does not have the strength to overthrow the Dark Lord, or to resist him if he comes against us with great strength.
I intend to do all I can to see that day never comes.
Nobly spoken. I am told you have done great deeds on behalf of all free folk, and I am certain you will accomplish greater things still. But if you plan to contend with the enemy, you must be well prepared. Perhaps you should examine the stores we have on hand.
I'll do so immediately, but first...
To tell you everything I know of Master Elrond would take many days. Let it suffice to say that he is an elven lord of great and noble lineage, ancient beyond mortal reckoning, and wise beyond measure. None are more skilled as a healer, or more versed in the lore of ages past.
Interesting. Let's see the shop. Shop. Hey, that's Novgorod Helm. How about... hey, my weapons aren't that bad. Well, this one... No, it's two-handed. I need a one-handed weapon. Sentinel's longsword, one-handed. Elfsmith's sword. Well, look at... There's a mace up there. Cold forged Novgorod mace. Alright. No. Yeah. Nope. Is it two-handed or one-handed blunt? There we go. Items. As you can see, this is the problem that I've been mentioning. You can respec token. All right. Yeah, this is definitely the updated version with all the bells and whistles. The one that I got, because the game is no longer sold on Steam. I got it back then, and I got all of the extra missions. Nowadays you can no longer get them, since the loot is kind of like unique to all of the class, to each one of the three classes. This one we should give it to Rusty Corruptor's great sword. Yeah, but I can give them to the other characters. Cold forged Novgorod. Why is it that I cannot equip it? Carvet's mallet. What the? Alright, because it's the left-handed. 80, 120. Well, I think there's a huge diff. Damn it. I didn't mean to do that. A huge difference. Yeah, I just fucked up. My bad, I was analyzing the game so much that
Those who venture into the...
I think I sold that. I think I sold that shit. I meant to buy it. Please tell me you have another mace. Damn it. Yeah, we have a problem. Damn it. Yep, I was not paying it. I wasn't paying attention. Why did I sell? Why did I sell that? God damn it. So clumsy. Well, at least we got a lot of money, I guess. Let's see what else. Anyways, we'll stumble upon one of those soon enough. This one, two-handed sword. I'm gonna use it. Quarter stuff. With this one, we could give it to Unreal once we get there. Once we play with her. Okay. La 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 la. Yeah, I just fucked up with this, basically. Now let's give her that stuff so we don't make that mistake again. Give it to her. Let's see if she equips it. All right, she equipped it. Okay. Hey, isn't this guy Gimli's father?
Farron, my lad, by my beard, it's good to see you again. When you left Erebor to stand guard on the Shire, Gimli and I feared we might be seeing the last of you. Now I hear you stood with the Rangers in the battle against the Nazgul at Sarn Ford, and bested an orc chieftain at Fornost. Good work.
I can't take all the credit. I had Andriel, an elf of Rivendell, and the ranger, Erodan, at my back.
Reminds me of the old days when dwarves, elves, and men fought together in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Then I've your blessing being allied with an elf?
I will speak plainly. I may be less than fond of King Thranduil's wood elves for keeping me in their dungeons, but I've no grudge with any of Elrond's folk.
So I've heard you say many times, but the elves fought beside us when it mattered most.
You're right, of course. I can be a stiff-necked old dwarf, but it's time to set aside grievances that were long ago repaid. When dwarves, men, and elves fought together at Erebor, we overcame legions of foes. But we face a far more terrible enemy in the Dark Lord. Standing together against Agandar may be more than just a good idea. It may be our only hope to save the North.
Let's not leave out the Eagles. They've been a big help to us.
Well spoken. Thorin's quest and the Battle of Five Armies would have met disaster without the help of the Eagles. You're fortunate to have gained the friendship of such noble creatures. Your life may well depend upon your choice of friends, whatever kindred they be.
I mean, the dialogues are kind of like, as I've said, extremely accurate in the Lord of the Rings lore. Especially around the Battle of the Five Armies, as you can see.
It wouldn't hurt to keep Sauron a little distracted. If we keep him second-guessing his plans for the conquest of the North, it could only help Frodo in the long run.
That's my thoughts upon the matter, too. Be the stinging fly in the ointment, as it were. Only this fly's sting will be deadly, and it's time to be about your business. Goodbye, and good luck to you.
Hey, look who we have here.
Hello, you are Farin, aren't you? I was hoping I would get a chance to speak with you.
Aye, and you must be Frodo Baggins. Aragorn and Gandalf have told me all about you, and the burden you bear.
Likewise, they have told me all about you. I wanted to thank you and your friends for all you did to keep us safe on our journey to Rivendell.
You're most welcome, lad. Just happy to have been of service. Especially after we learned how important our task really was.
It seems as if I owe everyone thanks. You, Aragorn, Elrond. Without the help of each of you, I wouldn't be here now.
We should be thanking you. It took a lot of courage to get past everything that stood between here and the Shire.
Thank you for saying so, but I don't feel brave, just very fortunate.
Don't sell yourself short, lad. I hear you chose to be the one to bear the ring into Mordor. You can't get much braver than that.
I'll try to bear that in mind.
I only hope I can measure up to everyone's expectations.
Take heart, Frodo. You'll have some stout folk along with you. Aragorn and Gandalf won't lead you astray.
Yes, I can't think of a better pair to have with me in a pinch than Gandalf and Strider. Without them, I would feel as if I was wandering alone in the dark.
Will you tell me about your journey here? Sounds as if it were a rough one.
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Riders were always just behind us, and we nearly met disaster in the Burrow Downs, at Bree, and again at Weathertop.
What happened to you in Bree? We must have just missed crossing paths there.
There were spies in Bree, and our room was attacked in the night. If Strider hadn't convinced us to sleep elsewhere, our journey would have ended then and there.
So convenient.
What
Weathertop.
happened at this place called Weathertop?
We were attacked by 5 of the Black Riders. I was foolish, and I put on the ring. One of them wounded me before Aragorn managed to drive them away. The knife that was used against me left a shard in the wound. From what Gandalf has told me, the fragment was working its way inward. If it had reached my heart, I would have become a wraith under the power of the Black Riders. Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
Hey, an interesting dialogue choice here we have. But first the Barrow
You
Downs.
came through the Barrow Downs? I won't soon forget that accursed place. You were lucky to come out alive. That's no place for hobbits to go a-wandering.
You seem to know a great deal about the Barrow Downs already. I'd prefer not to speak about what we found there. It is too horrible to dwell on, even here in the safety of Rivendell.
The Weathertop.
What happened at this place?
We were attacked by the knife that was used against... Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
It is a little thing, this ring, but filled with mischief. Will you show it to me?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but Gandalf and Elrond have warned me against revealing the ring to anyone, even proven friends. I hope you understand.
I think I do begin to understand. I shouldn't have asked. Forgive me.
There is nothing to forgive. But the ring, it has a strange effect on everyone around it. It is better for it to remain hidden.
It truly is a heavy burden you bear, Frodo. I hope you find strength and wisdom on the long road ahead. Farewell.
Okay. That was a pretty well done reaction. And look who we have here.
Gimli, son of Glóin! This is a happy meeting. But what brings you to Rivendell? What has passed for good or ill since I left the mountain?
Aye, and it's good to see you again, kinsman. I've heard of your exploits at Sarnford and Fornost. They sing your praises here. After you left to aid in the protection of the Shire, the foul messenger from Mordor returned yet again with more threats. King Dain thought it best to seek advice from Elrond. He chose Glóin to speak for him. When my father set out, I refused to be left behind, as happened with Thorin's quest. You were there at the Battle of the Five Armies, while I was left to cool my heels at the hearthside. Well, not this time. I go with the hobbit Frodo and his chosen 9, even if one of them must be a wood elf.
Who's this wood elf you spoke of? It's a long way from the forests of Mirkwood.
Legolas is his name, a fair-haired princeling and son to King Thranduil. Elrond has chosen him to represent the kindred of elves in Frodo's party. His purpose in Rivendell was to report that they'd let a prisoner escape. An easier escape than my father had when they held him in their dungeons.
Come, Gimli, that's an old grudge, and not even your own. The elves of Mirkwood fought and died alongside us in the Battle of Five Armies, and my new friend, Andriel, has saved my hide more than once.
Aye, true enough. For Frodo's sake, I must bear the company of Legolas and make the best of it. Perhaps he won't be entirely insufferable. And besides, we've enough to worry about as it is, what with this Agandaur skulking about in the north.
See what I mean when I say the characters are cohesively developed? Here you can see the rivalry between Gimli and Legolas. just like in the movies. It's perfectly depicted, if you
The
ask.
Battle of Five Armies was long and terrible, and many valiant lives were lost. Glories of little use to the dead.
You say it as one who has won a share of glory and lived to tell of it, and doubtless will do so again. Don't begrudge me this chance to show the worth of a dwarf against hopeless odds. But in truth, it's not for glory I take this road. It's for the sake of all who lie under the shadow of the enemy. It's Frodo who bears the true burden.
I know little of hobbits. What think you of this Frodo with such a burden to bear?
I know that he's Bilbo's adopted heir, and that such great folk as Elrond and Gandalf regard him with honor. He's already come far with the ring, and endured the knives of those Nazgul. That's good enough for me. He's hereabouts somewhere if you wish to speak with him.
I've already done so. You worry about the
We
north.
killed an orc chieftain and drove Agendour from his stronghold. What worries you about the north?
Before we left, we heard that Mordor was stirring up the Easterlings. But should they be foolish enough to move against King Brand of Dale, they'll find King Dane of Erebor standing fast at his side. But every step of the way here, we heard rumor of new gatherings of orcs and goblins and worse things. And though the fearful count every enemy twice, there may be some truth to it. You found such enemies at Fornast. When Sauron strikes, there will be more than one land that feels his wrath. I fear for the Shire and Rivendell, but my heart would rest more easily if I knew you kept watch over them. If Faron of the Lonely Mountain defends the north, then no enemy can prevail.
You don't ask much, but my friends and I will do what we can. If you can bear the honor of the dwarves on your quest, I can do no less here. You have my word on it.
Okay. Hey, look who's here, the explorers.
The sun shines and all is fair and peaceful here in Imladris. A far cry from the blood and dust of Fornost, is it not? You and your companions did very well there. Indeed, things might have gone badly for us had you not been there. You have earned some time to recover from the toils of battle and hard travel. And I believe you will find no place better for the restoration of body and spirit than this, our home.
What was it that brought you to Fornost?
We often ride far afield hunting the orcs, wherever we may find them. We came upon signs of a large band of goblins making their way from the orc hold of Mount Gram and followed their trail to Fornost, where we lost no time in attacking them.
I take it you often joined forces with Aragorn.
Yes, we often venture forth in company with the Dunedain, and none more frequently than Aragorn. He was raised here in our household, after all.
Aragorn was raised in Rivendell?
How
What?
is it that a man was raised here among elves?
Ah.
It is a tradition for the heirs of Isildur to be fostered in the House of Elrond.
Ah.
We have sheltered all the chieftains of the Dunedain from the time the Northern Kingdom ceased to be down to this present day. Aragorn is the 16th in line from father to son to spend his early years in Imladris.
16th.
Why the bond between the elves and the Dunedain is so strong.
Didn't know that.
Will you tell me more about your family? I know Elrond is your father.
Yes, it was he who established the refuge of Imladris. My brother and I have dwelt here all our lives. Our sister Arwen dwells here as well, although she has spent many years in the company of our grandmother.
And your mother, does she dwell here also?
Our mother has crossed the sea and left Middle-earth. It is a bitter tale to tell. Many years passed. On a journey across the misty mountains, our mother was captured by orcs. We searched the mountains without rest until we found her at last. Our father was able to heal her injuries, but the memory of her torment was too terrible for her to bear. At last she chose to depart for the Undying Lands. Perhaps now you understand why our hatred for the orcs is so great.
That's an awful tale to hear. I shouldn't have brought it up.
No, my friend. We have drawn swords together in the same cause. You have earned our trust. We do not wish to keep anything hidden from you. This is the evil that we have pledged our lives to destroy, just as you have.
I may need a few things before I'm ready to set out. Can anyone here help me with that?
If it is provisions or other supplies you need, you should speak with Alari. And if your arms and armor need tending, seek out Angmir. Both of them may be found nearby.
Alright.
Farewell, and luck be with you.
Remember, we are doing a 100% completion of the game, so I wanted to explore all of the dialogue options before continuing, before going on with this. Okay, so we explored everything at this place. It's gorgeous. I could never imagine this place being attacked. It's so peaceful. Pretty well done. The graphical presentation of this game, it's amazing. It's such a pity that the shadows are pixelated. But well. Graphical presentation is indeed amazing. We have to go back to forge that weapon. I know we forgot about one last character.
Magovanen, well met and welcome to the safe haven of Imladris.
My thanks. I'm much honored to meet you, Lady Arwen.
Durin's folk are welcome here. You have endured great danger and given us urgent warning of a new threat to the north. For this, we honor you, Farin.
Well, it was nothing, lady. It's nice of you fair folk to welcome a dwarf.
You show the modesty worthy of a hero. Estelle and my brothers have spoken highly of your courage at Fornost, and I thank you for your part in seeing to my brother's safe return. Please, take your ease and rest a while in our halls. You will find all your heart could desire, whether it be food, drink, song, or storytelling.
Hey, I've got the poem side quest.
Bilbo asked for help with a poem. I'm fond enough of the dwarvish sort of poetry, but this elvish verse is beyond me. He asked for your help, saying the subject is a matter very close to your heart.
Then it must be about Estelle. He is fond of writing verses in honor of his good friend, and therefore often comes to me for advice. You may leave it with me, Farin. I will give it some thought and answer him myself.
Thank you, that's a relief. It's not for a dwarf to be writing lines about the kings of men. And anyway, I have little time to spare for poetry. Your father has asked me to scout the Ettenmoors.
Then I will not keep you, but we may be of service to one another. I am helping my father brew a potion known as Miravor. One sip of Miravor can renew heart and soul, and bring new vigor to weary limbs. I am in short supply of certain rare ingredients that may be found in the Ettenmoors. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring any you find while carrying out your mission. With enough ingredients, I will return the favor by brewing an extra flask that you may have for your own use.
Well, we got another side quest.
That's a generous
100%.
offer, Lady Arwen. I'll keep an eye out for what you need and bring it back once I finish scouting around.
Magnificent. We got an extra side quest. And we completed that one, the poet. Magnificent. So, Miravor. Alright, we need to look for those. Mountain honey. For those ingredients. Alright, let me go to Sarn 4 for a second. Because I want a human blade created here. Caliber crystals. No, not you. You.
Does your gear need repair?
Relics. There
I
we go.
found these pieces. Mighty fine craftsmanship, to be sure. I think I have all the makings of a fine weapon. I just need someone to put it all together.
These are relics of my ancestors, made in a time before the lore of Numenor dimmed. If I had the use of a good smithy, maybe I could make something of worth from these, but not here in the field. If you're bound for Rivendell, you'll find skilled smiths among Elrond's folk. Try taking these to one of them.
Damn it.
We dwarves have a saying. Faithless is he who says farewell when the road darkens. I came here to help protect the Shire, and that's what I intend to do still.
They say it is hard to change the mind of a dwarf. I, for one, am glad of that.
Farewell.
Farewell.
Alright, I cannot forge it here. Okay, I cannot forge it here. Well, that's the only other smithy I've seen. Here we have the Lorien challenge mission and the Osgiliath challenge mission. Well, you know what, whatever. Take it to Rivendell. Whatever, then we can take care of that. Then we can go back to Rivendell. Let's go to the Edan Moors, shall we? www.warinthenorth.com for news, contests, tips. Here we go.
This is rough country, no mistake. But so far, we've seen no sign of trouble.
But the moors stretch on for many leagues. It would be easy to miss something in these rugged crags and valleys.
Let us continue the search, but be wary. More than one ranger has been lost in these wild lands.
Alright. Let's play with Farin. This dungeon. We'll play with Farin. So today I've been silent in this stream due to the fact that it was all... Damn it, the textures on the ground are amazing for 2011. So far, hey, we are getting into kind of like the late part of... Yeah, my bow, my dexterity is shit. So let's focus on what we know. There we go. Hey, the enemy variety, this is a good moment to analyze the enemy variety. Have you noticed that these orcs are completely different from the ones that we've been facing up until now? They're completely different. Look at that. They're kind of like... Hey, they have the white hand of Saruman. I bet it has something to do with the fact that we are, as you'll see that as we progress through the game, we'll go through the 3 movies, as I've been saying. We are currently in the end, at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, more or less. Hey, more orcs! And you ain't undead. You ain't undead. If I rip your head off, you'll die. I wonder why is it that Eradan isn't helping me with some melee attacks. But well. He also has pretty good dexterity. I mean, it's pretty balanced. Nice. That sweet extra experience, I love it. I'm beginning to think that playing as a tank is the very definition of OP in this game. Because you cannot be interrupted, apparently, somehow. Andriel gained a level, everyone gained a level, blah 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 blah. So we will further increase our stamina. No, we'll leave some points. We'll leave those points there. And what I could do is to spend that the loss of skill. Reduces the cooldowns of your active skills. Sure, I wanted that one. Let's do it. Nice. Also, have you paid attention to the geography of the place? It's kind of like exactly like the ending of Fellowship of the Ring, the terrain. The game is also extremely faithful in terms of geography with the movies. Though you'll see that gradually we'll see more and more snow because, well, at the end of the day, we're heading into the north. But yeah, it's basically the same as in the movies, even the geography. We don't leave footprints in the snow, though. Well. Hey, there's a cave. Hey, there's goblins coming out from this cave. Nice. Wait, I wonder if it's through here. Is it through here? Yeah, you can probably fall off that cliff, so I don't know if maybe this is a side quest, but we'll do it first. I know, it's just a cave. Yeah, it's just an isolated cave. Another thing that we must analyze is how the gameplay combat system in this game, it's amazing without the need. It must be here. Gather. Mirror's Blurb, alright. 1 out of 5. We need 5. Magnificent, we can... I was afraid we couldn't gather it with the dwarf, kind of like that we needed to select Andriel to gather this, because if I remember correctly, your inventory is full. See, I knew I was forgetting about something. What's this?
What have we here?
Yes, you can see there's kind of like specific loot. Damn it. There's a specific loot for each character according to whenever you play through the levels, kind of like each character will have a specific loot. Let's use this. Let's use the let's use silver chain, blah blah blah, silver scepter, ringing horn. Yeah, I forgot to sell my stuff back there. What's this? Map fragment, the Black Gate. Moranon, the Black Gate has been added to your map. Map point added. Oh, alright, I didn't know about that. So through some side quests you can you can unlock new spots on the map. Then I need to remember that name and see what level it unlocked. Strength, will, armor, elf knight's ring. Requires 18 will. Requires 20 will. Dexterity like this one. Has been added to your inventory. Nice. Choice of reward from Elaran. Elaran's sword. Elaran's hand axe. Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll choose this one because this one is a two-handed sword. No, it's a one-handed sword. If you don't mind, I'll choose this one because I fucked up and I sold a weapon that I shouldn't have sold. So yeah, if you don't mind, I'll equip that one. Magnificent. It's hard and tastes like wood. Large gold nugget, loot items, smooth amethyst. Okay. Good, we made some room. And that's it. Let me move, please. Let me move, and this is the end of. Alright, let's go back. See why you should always explore this game slowly, because otherwise you'll miss a lot of the loot. Interesting how the terrain there, and here I looted the thing. There we go. The water is perfectly animated. I love how how the arrows kind of like get stuck at the specific part of the body you shot them at. So it's magnificent. A mage. Mage up ahead. Or what? What is that? That's not a mage. What's this? An Urukai or what? So if it's a contest of shouting, let's shout. Yeah, this one doesn't get interrupted. It's like Warsog. What the? No, I was doing an execution. Yeah, it's like Warsog. It's like a huge... I don't think it's an Urukai. It's not an Urukai. It's not an Urukai. It's like one of those big orcs from the ending of Fellowship of the Ring, kind of like those orc leaders. It's still not an Urukai. Magnificent. So, in terms of enemy variety, we've seen a lot of orcs. We've seen goblins, orcs, but they have different gameplay mechanics. For example, you could see that huge orc. It's a good way to implement enemy mechanics. Enemy variation and mechanics. Damn it. Yeah, I'll have to go back. I'm missing a lot of loot due to the fact that I... Look at that! This character can indeed protect himself without taking any damage, contrary to the Dunedain Ranger, because... Nice! But... I don't need healing for now. Hey, we've got a two-handed... We've got a two-handed orc there. Damn it, they stole my final blow. They were way too squishy. Hello, look at that, we've got a shaman. Magnificent. Ah, look at that. This is a pretty interesting way of handling enemy mechanics. I've seen it. I've also seen this in Evencast Rise of the Mage. Kind of like the fact that you end up facing the same classes. Than the ones that you are using as a player. For example, you face a mage or warriors or rogues. It's a classic recycling mechanic from RPG games. Recycling main classes that the player will use and create enemies with it. It also gives the game realism in terms of the lore, because you can actually see that you are facing up against what you actually are at the end of the day. That it's not just you being uh it grabbed her. Do I have to deal damage to it to set her free? Am I dealing damage? Yeah, I am dealing damage. Damn it! Killed by a war cry. I wonder if I can withstand the attacks of the troll. Yeah, I can, and look at that, I'm not being knocked back by them. Damn it. Yeah, of course, I need to remember to... Wow. Need to remember to block, of course. Hey, I didn't know about this. Smash X, what's the... Interesting mechanic. So that thing can grab you. Alright, there's a huge penalty if you don't block. And there's a cooldown. Damn it. Well, the camera is getting a bit wonky here. There we go. There we go. What the? I was blocking. What happened there? Nicely done. Magnificent execution. Alright. Another one.
Greetings, my friends. I could scarce believe what I saw from above. But elf, dwarf, and man battling the enemy together, such things are not often seen. I knew it had to be you.
Belarom, it is a strange coincidence that we should meet again so soon. I did not think to find you here in the Ettenmoors.
Nor did I. It does seem a strange coincidence, but a happy one nonetheless.
We were told the Ettenmoors were dangerous, but the place is thick with enemies. Is there something going on we should know about?
Indeed there is. The orcs and trolls of the Ettenmoors are gathering to follow in the wake of Bargrisar, a corrupt stone giant. The foul folk respect his strength, and they will follow him for plunder and the chance to do evil. The giant must be stopped before he can bring this army to bear against our friends and allies.
Gandalf the Grey told us he traveled in the Ettenmoors without any trouble only a few weeks ago. But look at it now. Enemies are thicker than fleas on a warg's hide around here.
These moors are always dangerous, a breeding ground for trolls and orcs. But even here it is unusual to see so many enemies openly assembling. The presence of Bargrisar makes them bold. They believe he will lead them to the bloodshed and plunder they crave. And it may well be, unless the giant is destroyed.
Any chance there will be more than one giant to deal with?
I do not believe so, for we have learned Bargrisar is an outcast among his own kind. They disowned him for past crimes, and will offer him no protection from our vengeance.
You and your kin live in the Ettenmoors.
No, we keep our areas atop the high peaks of the nearby Misty Mountains. We have come to the Ettenmoors in pursuit of Bargrasar.
You're scouting, huh? Does that mean there are more eagles nearby?
My lord Gwaihir is gathering his strength. There will soon be many of my kind in the Ettenmoors. We must destroy Bargrasar. The sooner the better.
Can we help?
An enemy of yours is an enemy of ours. We'll join with you in the hunt for this giant.
Your aid would be most welcome. Together we may be able to best him. Every hour he lives, his following grows greater. Let us press on.
Alright. At least we'll be able to use Belloran once again. Nice. So that was an interesting mechanic. Being grabbed by that troll. Luckily I brought a tank with me. Or luckily I'm playing as a tank. Once again, this shit. Let me... The inventory should have been a bit bigger, I guess. Yeah, this is typical of games developed by Snowblind Studios. Kind of like, since they are looter slasher games, they took as reference the inventory size of Diablo 2, and yeah, pretty much here you can see the clear consequences. Healing Salve. We'll have to go back and sell this stuff, but we cannot because we are trapped. Damn it. I hate it when this happens. Give. You cannot do it. Drop it. Whatever. Drop it. Whatever. Drop it. Whatever. No. Loot. Polished garnet. Jewelry. They seem to be a bit more valuable than one we had. May I loot this? For some reason I cannot loot that. There. Good. Yeah, I cannot go back to sell my shit. Damn it. Pretty realistic thunders. Pretty realistic. Hey, did we level up again? No. We're okay. 0 skill points. Let's see. Let's see what else we've got in here. Nice. We had a sword and shield orc there. Cannot grab whatever that guy dropped. Well, here you can see the effects of an unbalanced usage of potions with the difficulty curve of the game. I have 24 potions by now, and this is only the 3rd dungeon. Okay, I'm beginning to think tank. I'm beginning to think tank is probably the most OP class. Look at that. They place the loot right there so you see it, but you cannot grab it. Find Bargrasar, the stone giant. Okay. Now, the last thing that we're gonna analyze today, the last thing that I'll dedicate this last half hour of gameplay, is pretty much the same thing that we've been talking about, that I've been talking about last time, which is the gameplay system, and more specifically, the lack of the set targeting system that this game has. For those of you who don't know, the set targeting system is the one created by The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which has been sadly nowadays it has been, a lot of people have a huge confusion. It's been misunderstood by a specific famous game that you'll know, which is Dark Souls. That game is basically responsible. Hey, look at that. I never thought we could do that. So you just... Hey, I didn't know that. We're definitely taking this way first. Then I'll explore the rest of the place, but we're definitely taking this. Gather. Hey, look at this. Pretty well done. But yes, I've been saying, Dark Souls has sadly made or caused a lot of people to think that it created this set targeting system, kind of like pressing one button and having the focus in a 3D environment in which you basically focus on one enemy, the camera is focused around one enemy. Magnificent. Is focused around one enemy, and as a consequence, kind of like you can roll around it, around said enemy, you can attack that specific enemy and focus on dealing damage to that specific enemy. But actually, the set targeting system was actually created by The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and it's the game responsible. See, we completed the side quest. Is the game responsible for actually fixing 3D graphics during the 5th generation in a moment of turmoil for the gaming industry, because there were a lot of failed attempts to properly recreate the mechanics seen in 2D games up until that moment. And a lot of people think that Dark Souls invented this set targeting system. I think that's unfair, and it's doing a lot of damage to a lot of modern RPGs. Because basically it's a fallacy. The game that invented set targeting and thus fixed 3D gaming and was a huge leap forward was The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, not Dark Souls 1. Damn it, that one was impossible to block. I want to believe I was blocking. Yeah, I was blocking. So yeah, here we can see that this game doesn't use this set targeting system, and it works perfectly, as I've said, as I've been commenting. So it's a shame and a pity that a lot of modern RPGs, you can tell that the developers feel compelled to use the set targeting system present in Dark Souls when they could go for a more hack and slash approach.
What have we here?
For a much more hack and slash approach, like this game, without any kind of issue. So that's why I say that Dark Souls has caused a lot of damage in the gaming industry. It's something that I don't like, because a lot of modern games could work perfectly without a stamina bar and without this set targeting system. And without this set targeting system, and yet developers apply said solution to problems that simply don't exist. For example, games like Lords of the Fallen, even Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is the perfect example. The first Assassin's Creed had a perfect combat system. The second Assassin's Creed had a perfect combat system. All of its expansions had a perfect combat system. Prince of Persia had a perfect combat system, and none of them used set targeting or stamina bar. And nowadays, there's no variety. There's no variety at all because of the negative influence of Dark Souls. Something that I think the community doesn't speak a lot about. The community doesn't speak a lot about this, and I think it's a mistake because they kind of like glorify Dark Souls as if it was perfect, and no, Dark Souls, I don't like the stamina bar system. I think it makes the combat way too slow, and I hate slow combat. And I think it's a mistake, the stamina bar. And my argument and the ultimate proof of what I'm saying is that Sekiro worked perfectly without that stupid stamina bar. And a lot of modern Dark Souls clones work perfectly without they work perfectly even if they have a stamina bar, in the sense that they don't need it, because most attacks won't consume any portion of it. So that's the ultimate proof that modern Dark Souls clones, nowadays people call them action RPG. That's a mistake. They are modern RPGs. That's another problem. They are not properly classified. People call Dark Souls clones action RPGs. No, they are simply modern RPGs, basically. Dark Souls didn't invent the wheel. It was The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Hey, look at that. See why you should always explore the whole map. Look at that in this game. Dark Souls didn't invent the wheel, and it certainly caused a lot of damage. It certainly caused a lot of damage to the gaming industry, if you ask me. An extremely negative influence, because it fucked up the combat system of a lot of games which didn't need to have a stamina bar, which didn't need to be so slow in their combat gameplay mechanics. So yeah, I would say it caused a lot of damage. The combat system in God of War 3 is better. The combat system in this game is better because they are faster, more rewarding, and yeah, basically it feels more real, more hack and slash. I mean, it's not real, the fact that in a fight you'll have to kind of like wait for a stamina bar to refill in a fantasy setting with superpowers. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. I hate the stamina bar mechanic. I hate it. I think it was a mistake because it made a lot of RPGs slow. It made a lot of RPGs slow. It's an extremely personal opinion. But yeah, I think it made most modern RPGs, not just some of them, most modern RPGs way too slow in comparison to games from the 7th generation backwards. For example, here you can see that the combat in this game works flawlessly without set targeting, without stamina bar. New secret found. Nice. Without the stamina bar. Without the stamina bar. Or anything, any of the bullshit that Dark Souls has. So, but think about games like Lords of the Fallen, I don't know, Minwar, the Crystals, magnificent. Lords of the Fallen. Well, in the case of Assassin's Creed, as I was mentioning, the combat system was perfect in Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and Prince of Persia. They didn't need to change it. I don't know why they changed it. And you can see that in Assassin's Creed Origins, the one that they developed sometime later, the combat has set targeting. Unfortunately, they didn't include the stamina bar. In that sense, Ubisoft was much more professional than From Software. I know, an unpopular opinion, but I think not including that stamina bar was the right choice. That disgusting stamina bar, yeah, I think it was a right choice, because it would have made the combat way too slow, and you could see that even professional developers realize it. And if I had to choose, I would choose every day the combat in the first Assassin's Creed or the second Assassin's Creed. Those games had amazing combat, just like Prince of Persia, and they didn't need set targeting or a stamina bar at all. So yeah, I don't like Dark Souls because of that, because it basically doomed a lot of games to slower paced gameplay, which wasn't necessary at all. And I personally like, I've always liked RPGs with high difficulty but fast gameplay. But fast gameplay like this one. I don't like I don't know how. I cannot understand why people ended up liking slow-paced RPGs. For example, we can also see the influence in God of War. I know we're talking about a hack and slash, not an RPG, but it's the same story. It's the same story. You can see that in God of War 3, the combat is perfect, flawless, magnificent, fast, and amazing. And in God of War 4, in the new trilogy that they developed back in 2018, that they started developing back in 2018, you can see that the combat gameplay mechanics, while they aren't flawed because they were the developers over at Sony, at Santa Monica, just like Ubisoft, they had much more experience and proficiency than From Software. They didn't include the stamina bar. For me, that's a sign of prowess. Not going with the stupid trend of including stamina bar just because you want to be like Dark Souls. And the combat system in God of War 2018 isn't as fast and amazing as in God of War 3. Sorry, but I cannot imagine how could anyone argue with that. Probably you can say that it's a bit more cinematic with the over-the-shoulder camera and everything. I think they almost prostituted the saga with that game. Almost. They saved it because they didn't include the stamina bar, and at the end of the day, the gameplay was pretty well executed, and at the end of the day, it was an excellent, magnificent game. God of War 4. But when compared with God of War 3, I'm sorry, the combat cannot hold a candle against the fast-paced combat of God of War 3. What I'm saying is that the 7th generation had a lot of creativity and variety. A lot of combat.
A vein of gold. No sense leaving it for the orcs to find.
A lot of the 7th generation. Hey, I think they are fighting. Wait. the 7th generation had a lot of variety in terms of combat, gameplay mechanics. This game, this is the conclusion that I wanted to reach, is one example of it. Is one great example of it. Here you can see that the gameplay system works perfectly. Without a stamina bar, the combat is fast-paced and incredible. As I've said, the flaw is that you can spam potions continuously, but it's the balance between the usage of potions and the overall difficulty curve of the game. But strictly speaking about the combat system, Batman Arkham Asylum, this game, Skyrim, they all have much better combat than Dark Souls. Sorry, I know that it's an extremely conservative approach, but at the end of the day, different opinions are what make this world rich. So yeah, I think the combat gameplay in these games, for example, this one, as I've said, Skyrim, World of Warcraft, they are all much better than the Dark Souls-esque combat system. Because of a simple reason, because of how fast-paced this one is. And the developers were brave and didn't try to copy Dark Souls like a lot of modern developers try to do. See how the gameplay system works. Batman Arkham Asylum is another great example. As I've said, the combo system in there, much better combat than Dark Souls. As you can see, I don't like how Dark Souls permeated, how it influenced a lot of modern RPGs during the 8th generation. Everyone pretty much tried to copy Dark Souls, and I think it's a mistake. There's an audience that likes much more hack and slash, fast-paced combat like this. I know that people nowadays love Dark Souls and probably won't agree with me, but, well, I don't care. It's what I think, because of the objective reasons that I've commented. I don't like the stamina bar. I think it's a stupid idea, because of what I've said, that I think gameplay mechanics have evolved throughout the years to be... I think they should evolve to be faster, not slower. That's why I will always defend real-time strategy over turn-based, because it's, at the end of the day, it's about creating a new era with something more fast-paced. Otherwise we would have stayed in turn-based combat. Well, sadly I cannot perform a melee attack on that enemy. There we go. A mage. Incredible enemy variety. Oh. Goblins. Ah, we also had the explosive goblins back in Fornost. Speaking of enemy variety. So yeah, and nowadays Dark Souls has also had another negative influence, which is the fact that people think that fast-paced games, specifically fast-paced hack and slash and RPG games, are easy. That's a fallacy, a complete fallacy. That's not true. There are a lot of fast-paced games that have a perfect difficulty curve and are pretty difficult to beat on the hardest difficulty. I think it's the most negative thing that Dark Souls has caused. The fact that people think that the only way to design a hardcore RPG game is by taking the route of Dark Souls slow-paced combat. And that's such a terrible mistake, such a fallacy, such an ignorant point of view, because there are thousands upon thousands of examples of fast-paced games that have a pretty high difficulty without the use of a stamina bar or slow-paced combat gameplay mechanics. For example, God of War 3 on Titan difficulty is certainly a challenge. Bayonetta is certainly a challenge. And in terms of RPGs, there are other RPGs with fast gameplay, combat gameplay mechanics that also have a high difficulty, and they don't have the combat system of Dark Souls. For example, Mass Effect on the highest level of difficulty, Dragon Age, Darksiders, for example, though that one is hack and slash. And I have thousands of examples. I covered all of them during the integral history of PC game genres that we did some weeks ago. But yeah, there you have some examples. God of War 3, though it is hack and slash, on the highest difficulty, or at the highest difficulty, is as tough as Dark Souls. I mean, or even more. Because at the end of the day, fast-paced reactions are even more difficult than slow combat mechanics. So yeah, I think it's the biggest damage that Dark Souls has caused to the gaming industry, making everyone believe that basically if you're not Dark Souls, you're a casual game. You're a casual RPG game with a casual RPG combat system, and that's a fallacy. That's an absolute fallacy. Right, we've got a problem. Our gear is broken. There you can see it up there, and my inventory is full. So, and it's been almost 3 hours. So let's see if, yeah, there you can see Archer. Yeah, well, we'll leave it here. That guy is going to sound that horn. We'll leave it here today. We'll leave it here, and we'll continue next week, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure to share this 4th day of the Lord of the Rings War in the North with all of you. As I've said, today we've analyzed the guy. We always have Malwarebytes here with us. Every time I finish the stream here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure sharing this 4th day of analysis of the Lord of the Rings War in the North with all of you. Today we explored a huge portion of the lore of the game, because we could see that we arrived at Rivendell, the new main hub, probably, that we can go back to in case we need upgrades and those things. So yeah, we had the chance to speak with a lot of iconic characters from the Lord of the Rings series. So I need to charge my joystick, because I had to play with the cable connected. It was almost depleted. I have a pretty good battery. It lasts for for months before I have to do this. Yeah, pretty much. So today we explored that. We explored, yeah, mainly the lore because we had an hour of lore today. I think it will be the last one in a long time because of the pacing of the game. And yeah, we also explored the classification system once again with a little recap at the beginning. And now basically the combat gameplay mechanics and yeah, also the mm, the combat gameplay mechanics and also the mainly the enemy variation of the game. You could see that the gameplay mechanics uh, are somehow affected by the enemy variety, of course, and also the level design. The influence of the level design, yeah, that one at the beginning, because of those narrow passages, and we could see that it had a positive influence on the game. As I've said, flaws. We also did a recap of the flaws. Basically, we could see some pixelated shadows there, and well, the pixelated shadows, but the rest of the graphical presentation is impeccable. The Of course the biggest flaw, the unbalanced usage of potions when compared to to the the overall difficulty curve of the game. Yes, that's the biggest mistake I'd say. Oh yeah, the efficiency of the artificial intelligence, everything. So well, on Thursday, now tomorrow probably I'll have some time to farm some more talismans. On Thursday we are doing